morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And how do you do? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And God loves you. Ooh, ooh, yes. And Weena be here. Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And I love me today. Why? Because God loved me first. And he said, rise. Edwina, this day that will never come again, I want you to be glad and rejoice in it, but save one more soul, okay? To God be the glory. We give him the honor, the praise that he so rightly deserves. Don't expect it, but he would like to have it. And I thank God that I am giving him that acknowledgement that he deserves. I tell you, boy, it's a great morning when you get to open your eyes and you can breathe. And that's the most important thing before all those other things race into your mind. And so every morning I have been practicing every day my daily routine. When my eyes open, I thank God. And I see what time it is. And then I turn on my friend, Ambassador Tamika Strickland, right? Then I get up and I get my coffee and I go into my closet, which is a big room, and I sit by the window, open it up, and I just meditate there for 20 minutes to a half hour, having my conversation with God, right? Then I come back and I turn on my Alexa gospel, songs and get ready for you all. And guess what? I haven't been connected to AJ Harding for a few days, and I got to get back on track with that. But my dear friend Hope Winchester sends me some positive affirmations that are all spiritual in nature. So you see, willingness. When you are willing to do the right thing, and not just the next right thing, but the right spiritual thing, God just opens up the world, the universe to you. All right. So this time, month of March, I'm celebrating my mother, and her birthday is March the 23rd. And my 32nd anniversary was February the 23rd. And in my church bulletin, I dedicated my anniversary to my mother. And so people who don't know why I can't sit down at church will know soon enough once they read that bulletin, because I am transparent, honest, and direct, because he wants me to save just one more soul. So if you want to go and download it, it's at Canaan bcde.org, or you can just call me, and I can send you a copy of it. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page if I haven't already. And to God be the glory. Through the spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm able to share the spiritual growth, experience, awakening, transformation, and psychic change, to be able to share it with you. Freely we receive, freely we give. So this song is dedicated to my mama. I'll come back and share a little bit about her story, and then I'm going to resume my presentation of my Free to Hope tour, Free from Recovery, Emerge, Empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. All right. So here's a song dedicated to my mommy this morning. All right. Y'all listen to the words, okay?
Thank you, God, for the gift that you gave me. Thank you for my mom, for her smile. No one is more gentle. She's the only one, my beautiful mommy, inside and out. Just want to say that I love you. You are my best friend, now and forever. I am so thankful, Mom, for you.
and sweet, right? Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. My auntie Mama, Margaret Matilda Kemp Williams, and my mother, Helen Lamar Jones Hall Taylor. I love you both. They say a mother's love is the closest to God's love. Oh, how do I believe that? Anyway, so let's get some updates about my mother. Pregnant at the age of 14. My dad was 16, and they met in Philadelphia at church. They conceived their first child on the church bathroom floor. My granny and my great grandma Carrie went to the Hall family and said, "No, they got to get married, all right?" And as a result, they falsified Daddy's records to get him into the army, and Mommy went to live with Granny, her given mother, all right? And so I have to share this with y'all, right? Because as my mom was growing in her pregnancy, she one day and say, "Ma, where is the baby going to come from?" And my granny looked at her and said, "The same way it went in." She was like, "Huh?" It's amazing how naive we are when when we go through some things, but we don't know, right? Our thinking is limited. Our perception is like all messed up, right? And she asked her mother, "Well, where the baby going to come out at?" And she said the same way it went in. But anyway, so at the age of 15, my older sister, Ruby Amira Hall Wells, was born, and my dad was 17. He was in the Army, and my mother stayed with Granny and her mother and her grandmother, Grandma Carrie. And I shared with you how when my mother got older, she did get a chance to meet her mother, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. And my mother vowed that she don't have to worry about her ever again. And so my mother made the promise, "I will never give any of my children away. No, no, no." And so my mother kept her promise, right? And so when Ruby was born, right, and she was named after Granny Ruby Lamar. All right, that's appropriate, right? And so my dad was in the Army, and my mom went through the whole process of being a teenage mother. Could you imagine? So I never did talk to my mother about what she felt when she had the baby, right? All right, Mom, it's kind of hot now, right? I never talked to her about that. So I could only imagine, because I couldn't imagine, but once I had a child, I could imagine, all right? And so the early development of Ruby Amira Hall Wells started on the journey with my father being in the Army, and my mother, our mother, living with her mother, we call Granny, and great grandmom Carrie, which was her grandmother, not biological, but then I also shared with you that my dad too was given away, right? Elizabeth Kemp and Mr. Hall had an arrangement because the Halls couldn't have a child, and one thing led to another, and we'll talk about that another time. But the reason why I mention that is because you would think that two people coming from similar situations of being given away, that they would unite and vow never to split up. Okay, but life has a way of changing some things, right? And so my mother enjoyed for 2 years having the one child before Deborah Jean came along. So more about that tomorrow. All right. So thank you, God, for my mother, right? Oh my God. I told you I didn't like my mother when I was coming up because she got too much attention from my dad, but I love her, and I thank God that he prepared me out of her 6 children to take care of her. And so she vowed never to leave us or give us away. And guess what? She didn't. But she got some help. And sometimes you got to be careful. I'll tell you about that another day. All right. So now I want to share with you. I always do that. Listen, y'all. Where is my journal? Okay. So y'all stay right there because I want to share with you my journal. So stay right there. I'll be right back. Okay, don't go nowhere. I don't know why. Here I am. Whew. Thank God for patience. Now I got to get my breath. Because there's 2 flights of stairs in my house. Let me catch my breath. Thank God I can breathe. 2 years ago with COVID-19, I couldn't do that. All right. So I said I would share with you a page of my journal entries. Okay. And so I want to share that. And I think we are on, let's see, May the 17th. Okay. All right. So here we go. Now, this is my book as it was written. And it's a journal that I kept the first 4 years in recovery. And I suggest you start keeping a journal so it can become your reference point in your reference book, as well as a measuring tool as to how far you have come or haven't. Okay. So this is from May the 17th of 1990. Okay, let me make sure. Hold on. Okay, so I think I'm on this page. All right. And it says, let me make sure. Okay, yeah, this page. May the 16th of 1990. Thoughts of tomorrow are getting strong. Was able to pray and meditate as usual. Today was one of facing fears and getting feedback and support from others. My day was basically busy in attempt to keep myself from drifting afar. Feelings of faith prevailing. Went to my morning meeting. Afterwards, checked on the Y residency. Was told to check back in a few days. Was able to gather information regarding camp for when my son arrives. Worked at the church for a few hours. Came home and relaxed until my meeting. at 7:30 AA meeting. I am chairperson and I feel more at ease and comfortable about not sharing at meetings, but even having to read material or the format proved to be satisfying. The step we read and shared on was step one. And by being directed by my sponsor to begin reading step one, gave me a chance to hear others share on this step. I am really beginning to feel as though I am part of the fellowship. And the footwork I'm doing continues to give me the incentive to keep on. I know the other night we had a house meeting among the women, and the subject was gratitude. And it was interesting how my description of gratitude continues to change as I grow in my recovery. I will soon have 90 days clean and feel as if I just climbed out of the highest mount, climbed up one of the highest mountains. It feels damn good, and I owe it all to my higher power. For he has worked through me and have sent people in my path to aid me with their faith, hope, and strength. I talked with someone whom I was involved with, and because of nipping things in the bud, we acknowledged the fact that this should be a turning point of growth in our newly developed friendship. Before either one of us became emotionally involved, he took the initiative to say and show me a lot of things, habits, signs, and behaviors about myself. In the end, I must say it was another growing experience in my life. Isn't that awesome, y'all? That's why I love taking directions and suggestions and keeping that journal. And I had 90 days, right? Coming up on 90 days. Oh my gosh. And now I celebrated 32 years. Thank you, Lord. Yes. And you see, I tapped on a few things, right? The recovery process, the fear of what's going on, the help that's available, taking directions from my sponsor, listening to other people share, even some lustful things going on, right? And somebody cut me down the right size and gave me some information about myself. It was like, nah, you don't want to do this. And I'm like, okay. Thank God, thank God, thank God. All right, so now I want to share with you a portion of recovery principle number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 1, admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power or powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. Did y'all like that? Now, after we do step 4, we get into step 5. And it's about emptying that trash can with another person. So let's see what step 5 has to say and what spiritual lessons you can gain from it. All right, here we go. 5. I'm gonna try to get through this a little more quicker, but I will share this with y'all. It says, admitted to God, whoever, it was years before I had acknowledged a God. It just was, because the years of me being told he was a punishing God took time, and I had to continue to see it in my life. So, admitted to God, ourselves, and to another human being, the what? The exact nature. What is the exact nature, y'all? What do I mean by exact nature? Let me help you. What is jealousy really camouflaged by? Insecurity. And what is insecurity camouflaged by? Lack of self-esteem. What is self-esteem camouflaged by? Huh? going to get something. I'm not going to what? I'm not, fear of not getting something I think I deserve or what? Fear. That's the exact nature that's camouflaged by all that above. So when you work with people in recovery, we will help you get to the exact nature. Because if you don't get to the exact nature, all that stuff is going to happen again because you never got to the core. Yeah. What am I really afraid of? Not being enough for me, not being enough for myself, not measuring up to my parents, not being successful, not being, what's the exact nature? Fear. So we have something in recovery that says face everything and recover. That's what fear is. Face everything and recover. Instead of funk everything and run. And they use a different word, that right? And some people who like it raw, they say something else. But I'm being professional today. Forget everything and run. How about that? Like that word better? But in other arenas, I say what I need to say for them to get the gist of it. Yes, but I've learned to recognize my audience. Why is it important to admit to another human being?
You need someone to talk to. You need to be able to express it. And actually, I think it's good for you to hear it come out your own mouth.
Because whatever the force is, they already know, right? They already know. Yeah. So you ain't really hiding from nobody. You ain't really sneaking. You ain't really doing nothing. But there's something about admittance that allows that stuff in here to be freed and exposed so that we can shine a light on it. Because as long as you keep it in, it's going to keep you what? Sick, bound, chained. Yeah? So, is admitting to somebody uncomfortable?
Depends on who you admit.
Yeah.
Is admitting to somebody humiliating? Huh?
Can be.
Can be. But who are you doing the fifth step for?
Yourself.
Ha! You're doing it for you. How many times we were uncomfortable in that other life? How many times we were humiliated in that other life? Huh? Because we failed to admit. But now that we have these recovery principles, I need to admit this stuff. I don't care if it's a stranger. Huh? You want to empty it out of here for the sole purpose of getting to the exact nature. Okay?
Question.
Yes.
So even if it comes to repeating it, and it's like, oh, you already said that before. Don't repeat it.
Have it, until you are freed. And then guess what? When you do repeat it, it's to help somebody else. You're doing it for you, but you're going to be used as a model and a coach to help somebody else do the same thing. Somebody going to want to feel comfortable enough to you to say, what's your name? Alicia. Can I share something with you? And because you went through it, you understand what she's doing, the need for her to do it. You say, come on, baby. We're going to work through this. We're gonna cut down that tree to get to the root.
That's right.
So we can plant a new seed, new branches, a new tree. Okay? All right. What time is it? 3:58. Okay, good. I'm good. All right, so recovery principle continued. So, as the exact nature, and we said it here, jealousy was masked by insecurity, right? Not measuring up, right? Competition with my mom, right? Envy, right? Selfishness, right? And what's the last thing? Fear. Yes, that was the exact nature. Resentment against my dad. My siblings used to say, yeah, when you talk too much, you tattletale. You daddy's favorite. But see, I didn't know mommy told daddy a lie. And when daddy grabbed me and asked where did we go, I told daddy the truth. And when I told Daddy the truth, Daddy dropped me like a hot potato and went to beat up my mom. So now I'm afraid to tell the truth. Because somebody's going to get hurt. See how it comes back? So, tattletale, self-centered, selfish. You know, I was jealous. I was manipulative. But basically, it was fear. Okay? So this is how you get to the exact nature. You know? To their own self be true, y'all. Y'all know when y'all manipulative. Y'all know when y'all being jealous. Y'all know. And I know this. Recovery principle number 6. Now this is
All right.
This is separate the men from the boys and the girls from the ladies.
All right, we're going to stop there. Okay. Oh my God. We're going to stop there. Okay. And so now we're going to go back and we're going to decipher, what our reading is today. So that was recovery principle number 5. And again, 1 through 5, I'm going through all the 12 steps for my world tour from free to hope, from recovery, emerge empowered to hope, help others prosper equally, right? And so tomorrow we will pick up with spiritual principle number 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So right now we're going to focus on the topic today, March the 7th, daily reflections, from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And the topic is the key is willingness. So Alcoholics Anonymous been in existence for nearly 90 years. I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, grateful member for over 30 plus years. I can say 30 plus now, right? To God be the glory. And I go to my meetings every day. And you saw when I read in my journal when I had 90 days. Now it's 32 years later, and I'm still going to the meetings. Why? Because it works. It works. And the more I get a recovery, the more I want. So to God be the glory. No longer my higher power. He is God and God all by himself. Now that I have a personal relationship with the God of my understanding. Okay. So let's see what they say about the key is willingness. So take a sip of your coffee. I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes. And let's read this together. Okay. All right. No, I don't want that. I want this. Okay. So here we go. Okay. Ooh, Lord, I love you. All right. So it says here, March the 7th, AA Daily Reflections. The key is willingness. Once we have placed the key of willingness in the lock and have the door ever so slightly open, we find that we can always open it some more. 12 Steps and Traditions, page 35. And the alcoholic in recovery shares his perspective. The willingness to give up my pride and self-will to a power greater than myself has proved to be the only ingredient absolutely necessary to solve all of my problems today. Even the smallest amount of willingness, if sincere, is sufficient to allow God to enter and take control over any problem, pain, or obsession. My level of comfort is in direct relation to the degree of willingness I possess at any given moment to give up my self-will and allow God's will to be manifested in my life. With the key of willingness, my worries and fears are powerfully transformed into serenity. Oh my, oh my. Now you see why I go to my meetings every day? Huh? One day at a time. One day at a time. Life deals us a hand every day. And we don't know what's underneath those cards, whether you play poker, tonk, bridge, if you from that culture, I don't know, bid whist, spades. You don't know what's under those cards. And that's what life deals us every day. And so because we don't know what's under those cards, we don't know how we're going to react or respond, right? It depends on what the situation is, right? However, in the spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we know who the ultimate dealer is. And it is said that no matter what life deals us, when we apply these spiritual principles in all our affairs, we will maintain peace, happiness, joy, and tranquility and serenity. Donald Lawrence says it so eloquently. We are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings encased in walking this natural experience on earth called life. That's why I will be in my meetings one way, shape, form, or fashion every day to give me my daily bread to face what's going to come down the pipe this day. Woo! To God be the glory. All right, so let's dissect this reading. All right, so let's bring it back up. It says, the key is willingness. Now, y'all know me. I break things down. Key. Now, when you think about a key, what comes to your mind? A door, the key point, the key. So you think a key unlocks something. The key to the puzzle, the key to the question. It reveals, it opens up. Why? So mostly we would think about the key to the door. How many of you got your first house and you were given the set of keys? Oh my God, you was like, ooh. And then you went to the door and you said, take a picture. And you put that key in and you was like, you got the picture. And you unlocked that door and you opened it up. Woo! You got my drift? So let's look at what they say. The key is willingness. Willingness. The key is willingness. Now, what comes to your mind when you think about willingness? I'm willing to do this. I'm not willing to that. I'm willing to go here. I'm not willing to go there. The willingness to do or not to do. The action, right? The willingness. But it says here, the key is willingness. The key is willingness. You hear that? The key is willingness. So when we think about the key, I tell you, man, the devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. The key is willingness, right? And so when we talk about willingness, we make decisions like we talked about in step 3. We make a decision all day long. And making that decision is going to determine how much or how little willingness you have to make that decision. Okay? And what it's going to entail. So the key is willingness. All right? So let's decipher what the rest of the quote says from 12 and 12. It says here, once we have placed the key of willingness in the lock and have the door ever so slightly open. Let's stop there, right? Once we have, and let's take the house analogy, right? So let's pretend that we didn't know something. So when we put the key in and we turned it and we opened it, but it wouldn't open anymore. See, we didn't know that behind that door was a block, right? And so we're trying to open up that door, but we put the key in and the door opened so slightly. But beyond that, I mean, there's my house. There's my house. I need to get in. But without you putting that key in and turning the lock and opening it, right? That's what it means. Slightly open, right? Once we have put the key in of willingness, it opens ever so slightly to the point where we want to open it some more. Okay, you got that? All right. I know y'all got it. It says we find that we can always open it some more. And so once we put that key in and it's open slightly, we say, well, what's stopping it? What's stopping it? And we push and we push and then we go around the side of the door and we go through the back door and we see, oh, there's a board there. Right. All right. So let's go back around the front, put the key in. Let's get a stick and push that thing out the way. It can be opened some more. All right. The key is willingness, right? So once we have placed the key of willingness in the lock and have the door ever so slightly open, we find that we can always open it some more. Woo, woo. Now, if you take that the reverse, right? When you put a key in, and let's say you go into a house that's haunted, so they say, you open up that door and you hear something, you're like, oh, I'm shutting that door, and I run back away, right? So you can take it either way, right? But we're talking about spiritual growth. We're talking about spiritual transformation to create a spiritual awakening, right? And so the key of willingness is there at our beck and call, and we want to continue to open it. So let's share his perspective and I'll interject mine. The willingness to give up my pride and self-will to a power greater than myself has proved to be the only ingredient absolutely necessary to solve all my problems today. All right, so let's go back to the first words. The willingness to give up my pride and self-will. The willingness to give up my pride and self-will says to me, says to you, we acknowledge where our self-pride and our self-will, when pride and self-will has brought us. For me, pride and self-will put me underneath that parked car 32 plus years ago. So how much pride, how much self-will do I need now underneath that parked car? So there comes an acknowledgement that what is interfering in my growth, what is stopping me from surrendering all, what is preventing me from staying stuck is my pride and self-will. So now the key is willingness. So if I'm willing to accept that my pride and my self-will has caused me some problems, what do I need to do then? And it tells us, right? I tell you, I love this thing, right? It says, right? The willingness to give up my pride and self-will to what? To a power greater than myself. Did you hear that? So you're not a chump, you're not a ussy, you're not a punk, right? You realize that, I realized that my pride and my self-will got me in this predicament. So through the recovery principles that are spiritual in nature, like we shared in step 2, came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to soundness of mind. And I told you that power greater than me took different forms in my process that led me ultimately to the God of my understanding. Right? So we are turning our pride and our self-will over to a power greater than myself. Okay? So who's a power greater than you? All right? So then it says here, proved to be the only ingredient absolutely necessary to solve all my problems today. How many of you are scientists and you come from a scientific modality and you know, okay? But what did you hear what it says, right? I acknowledge that my pride and self-will got me in trouble. And I needed to turn it over, to a power greater than me, right? And when I turned that power, when I turned those things over to a power greater than me, it proved, past tense, it proved. When I had 90 days in recovery, I told you I was facing cancer. My husband was dying of cancer. I had was sucker punched by one of the girls in the recovery house. The brother that I turned on the crack tried to commit suicide. But when I applied these spiritual principles or the suggestions from other people, it proved to be the right ingredient for me to handle that situation that day at that moment. Proved. Woo, I tell you, I got a few more minutes, okay? Then it says, all of my problems today. Do you hear what I said? Remember those that hand that you was dealt, right? Just for today. You know, if you play pinochle, you get 16 cards. If you play pity pack, I think you get 5 cards. If you play spades, I think you get 26 cards. I don't know. If you do the war, you spread up the cards, right? That's a lot of cards for the day. All my problems today. It proves to be the main ingredient to solve all my problems today. I tell you, boy, okay? Then it goes on to say, even the smallest amount of willingness, if sincere, is sufficient to allow God to enter and take control over any problem, pain, or obsession. Did you hear that? Okay? It says, even the smallest amount of willingness, if sincere. So you mean to tell me, right? Now, you got the key to that house. You done paid for it. You done signed it on the dotted line, right? And you got the key, and it's ever so slightly open, but there's a block, right? But the fact that you were willing, to get to the door and put the key in and turn it, and it opened up some more, and you were sincere about getting into your house. Listen. Wow. Then what do we do, right? If sincere is sufficient to allow God to enter and take control over any problem, any pain, or any obsession, right? So he says, listen, put the key down, go around to the back of the house. Thank God the things are not, covered. The windows are not covered. And you can see that there's a block there, right? Instead of trying to push. Well, it's not going to open because there's a block. And so when you say, God, help me, he will take over and will give you some instructions on what to do. And now you can get into your house. All right. That makes sense. I tell you, I'm a tangible person, right? So then it says here, my level of comfort is in direct relation to the degree of willingness I possess at any given moment to give up my self-will and allow God's will to be manifested in my life. Oh my God, did you hear that? My level of comfort is in direct relation to the degree of willingness I possess at that given moment to give up my self-will, to stop pushing, right? And allow God's will to be manifested in my life. He will show me the way, right? And it ends by saying, with the key of willingness, my worries and fears are powerfully transformed into serenity. Woo! With the key of willingness. Did you hear that? With the key of willingness, right? My worries and fears are powerfully, right? Transformed into serenity. So remember, I told you that it's through the 12 spiritual principles, right? After we have had our knee-bowing experience, which all human beings are going to have eventually, to the point where your tongue will confess that he is who he say he is, right? And then most times it is through a humiliating experience, right? That breaks you down to your knees for you to cry out, help me. That pride and that self-will just like, help me, right? And when you do that, you like, I surrender. I surrender all, right? And so now we begin to embark on this journey called recovery. From recovery, emerge empowered. So once you become empowered, you give hope to others, help others prosper equally, right? But let's stick with what it says for me. It says here, right? With the key of willingness, my worries and fears are powerfully transformed into serenity, y'all. Listen, I tell people, I thank God that I'm in recovery and will continue to be until God calls me home. That my level of serenity, peace, and tranquility in the midst of everything that's going on within me, around me, about me, in the world, I call on the God of my understanding. I apply any and all of those 12 spiritual principles. I let my pride and my self-will, my ego take the back seat. And when I practice all these spiritual principles in all my affairs, what do I get? Can't tell? Can't you tell? Can't you tell? Can't you tell? People say, why you so? Listen. It's not of my doing, but I had the willingness, like I had in my addiction, to do all those things. I just had willingness to do the wrong thing. Now I have willingness to do the right thing, but the next right spiritual thing. So willingness has always been a part of us and will be. You're willing, you're not. Yeah, so that takes willingness, So, but I'm willing, right? And the more willingness I exert, the more serenity, peace of mind I have amidst all things, right? We learn not to give anything or anybody that much power ever again. For me, not to go back underneath that parked car, number one. But number two, to steal my joy, my peace, my serenity, my tranquility. Oh, hell to the no. No, boo-boo. They ain't got it like that. I may go through my humanness for a second or two, but you better believe God's going to snap me right out of there. Why? Because I'm going to call upon him to remove my defect of character. Yes. So, all right, it's time for me to go to my meeting, y'all. Woo, okay. The key to willingness. I know they are reducing the CDC's guidelines, but guess what? It's your choice. Do you have the willingness to continue doing what has saved your life and save other people's life? If that be the case, continue to do it. If not, God bless you. All right. If nobody told you they love you today, I love you. I love you. You love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Guess who I gave a hug to the other day when he rung my bell? Governor John Cornyn. Yes, honey, I came at him like a football player. Woo! I tackled him and I hugged him. You're right. You're the hugger from Delaware. That's right. That's me. Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, right? I love you. And so does God. Have a blessed day. Be safe. And whatever cards life deals you, call on him because he's the ultimate dealer. Be safe. I love you. I love you. Come on now. I love you. Woo, Lord, thank you.